What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, I'm going to interview John Fosco.
I don't know what's going on.
I got some new questions that you've never heard John answer before. Mo's out of town.
We miss you, Mo.
We miss you,
We
Mo.
miss ya.
Shout out to Mo. We had a good time in Nashville. I want to talk about that real quick,
Absolutely,
John.
man.
Being out, meeting people in person. It was an unbelievable experience, huh?
Yeah, I think more than anything, like you said, it was an experience because we get to do this all the time in the studio, but when you take it on the road and you're sitting in front of people and you get to see, visceral reactions to what you say and you get to see real emotion, I think it helps, or at least speaking for myself, it helped me understand what connects with people better and what doesn't. And it was just, I think it was just a great learning experience, and I look forward to doing it again. How about you?
Dude, I thought it was amazing. Like, it was so weird. Well, first of all, it's brought to you by Robinhood, and then I want to finish my point.
Well,
Robinhood,
that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, of course it's brought to you by Robinhood because you've already downloaded the app, but if you haven't, you better.
Yeah.
We want to give you a free
Do you want to
stock.
get rich?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So I downloaded Robinhood
Well.
and go to biceps.robinhood.com. Get a free stock such as
Apple, Ford, or Sprint, and don't pay trading fees. I told you all the time.
Cha-ching.
If you want to get rich, you don't pay trading fees, because when you don't pay trading fees, that's money you don't spend.
Yeah.
And that adds up, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're rich.
Thank you, Robinhood.
Thank you.
All right, so one thing when we got out on the stage, John, that I'm so used to leading off. Like, so when anytime
You're like a leadoff hitter,
I was a leadoff hitter in
15
baseball.
home runs.
That is true. That
maybe
is true.
20 stolen bases
Stole
on a good year.
Stole a lot of bases, John. Didn't hit 15 home runs.
Maybe
Stole a
10
lot of bases.
putouts. I don't know.
But so I'm used to walking out and starting off. Every time I'm always the lead.
Yeah, you put that on me. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
John starts off.
Appreciate that.
Obviously we punched him in the face with our lead, and if you guys hadn't listened to it, go back and listen to the
Punch him
live
in the
Nashville.
face, punch him in the nuts.
And I spoke
fingered him.
third. My leg started shaking. I didn't feel like bodily nervous, but something was like, it was so strange. So I'm standing behind that chair and I'm like thinking to myself, am I going to pass out? Like, what the hell's going on? It was so weird. But then when I talked, it went away.
Yeah, I just think anytime anybody does anything for the first time, you can think you're prepared. You could think how it's going to feel, but the truth is you don't. And you get out there, and it doesn't matter, if you're super alpha or what, it's going to make you feel some sort of butterflies. And I always remember hearing from, Michael Jordan. He's like, man, if you ain't getting butterflies before games, you don't want to win. I get butterflies before games. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure it was a little bit of that.
Oh, yeah. I love that feeling, because then when you fight through the butterfly, that's when you do win. And
Absolutely.
especially when you deliver. We did good.
Absolutely.
All right. So, John Fosco, are you ready for your interview?
Listen, this setup is very interesting to me. I have no clue what's coming, but the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
We got new mics, too.
We got new mics. The answer is yes. We got new mics. Let's fucking roll.
All right. So, John, it's well documented here at Business and Biceps. You talk about
That I'm a pervert.
That's well documented too. But
Fact.
we talk about a lot about your upbringing, or you bring it up a lot, obviously, because it molded you.
Yeah.
Now, when you reference your father, as how you have on the show, it's always mostly in a negative way, as is when I reference mine a lot of times. But I want to bring up, is there something, whether you grabbed it from him teaching you how not to do stuff, or something that he taught you how to do, that there's a positive, we're always looking for the good side of stuff. Is there something from your old man that you can say, I learned this from that guy, and I've carried that through in a positive way?
Sure. I can say this about my dad. I'm not big on intentions.
We had a lot of conversations about that stuff.
Exactly. Because we all have the power to change things and change cycles. But for all the negative things that, let's say, my dad's done, and tearing apart a family and all that stuff, I don't believe he was or is emotionally equipped to even understand how to do things the right way. And I'm not going to go back into the family tree, because I wasn't there with my grandfather. I never met him. I know good things about him, my grandmother, but I believe my dad never questioned the things he dealt with and he continued on whatever pain he went through, the way he was treated. So when I look at him, I understand him. I understand why he has the emotional intelligence of a 15-year-old, and why he thought, just if I put a roof over your head and I try to say work hard, that's what dads do. But to me, that's not an excuse for being completely unaware of your children, your wife, abusing them. Those aren't excuses. So I understand him, and I can thank him for always having a roof over my head.
Do you think your awareness thing that you talk about a lot might come from this, John?
100%.
Him being unaware, so unaware that made you more aware. Connect that dot?
Yeah, I think, what's funny about that is, like, so my mom used to always say, when I was like fucking 4 years old, 5 years old, I'd go in her fucking room and I would say, why does dad beat you? And at that age, it was before I ever witnessed it. And I remember doing that, actually. And I don't know why. I don't know why I asked her that. But she would always look at me in awe. I remember to this day. And she'd be like, why are you asking me that? And it was like at 4 or 5 years old, not that I was saying, I knew. And then eventually, as I grew older, it was confirmed and I saw it. But I just think when things are really off, I think children probably have some of the most keen awareness out of anybody.
Absolutely.
Because they're not jaded by life experience,
Yeah. Great answer, and thanks for being so truthful.
Yeah.
All right, so your mom, who we had a great episode with, Jeremy, you should plug in something that shows what episode. She dropped bomb on top of knowledge bomb on top of knowledge bomb. It was great. Yeah, so out of all the amazing things that she's done and you've seen and she's taught you, what's like the, I guess, shining, glowing thing that you carry from your mom?
There's always got to be something bigger than yourself. So, like, you can work hard all the time. Oh, you can even work hard to provide for your family, to build a better life for yourself. But there's always got to be something more. There always has to be what she calls your bottom line. What is your bottom line? And is that to uplift people? Is that to help people? Is that to spread goodwill? Is that to like working hard, making money is not enough? And just introducing the thought to me as a young kid that there had to be something more that involved doing good to people and trying to uplift in any way that you could. And that's the one thing that sticks with me, because I look at her, she's got no money, she's got nothing, but the amount of people from behavior disorder kids who had drug addict parents that she worked with for 25 years, that she's impacted just through her approach and through not judging people and through listening, is amazing. She didn't have a fucking dollar to her name, right? I support her. And she's,
which is awesome, by the way, Johnny.
Yeah, man, and thank you. And that's what really matters. So, it just gives me perspective when we're all, money this, money that, career this, career that. You have to have that. We have to support ourselves, but like, we all have to just step back from, whether it be the possessions or the chase for more money, and just say, why am I really doing it? Why I'm like, what am I really trying to get? And if you're not trying to get after, making the world or people better in some way, shape, or form, you probably got to ask yourself some more questions.
Yeah, great answer. When did you recognize that art and music, as we sit here in the studio, we have all the art that you've collected. Most notably, when you drive to the office, it's extremely loud, Pearl Jam of some sort. Yes. And when I stay with you, when I'm in Charleston, the same thing happens before, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And when did you realize that was kind of your pathway to creativity, Johnny?
I realized it probably maybe 5 years ago. It was recently. Now, I had the habits 10, 15 years ago, But I just think when you're working all the time and you learn lesson after lesson and you finally get to like figure out what you're good at, you start realizing how to channel what you're good at. And for me, it's like, I need free thought. I need free space. And I don't want to be in an office or around people when it's time to generate creative thought. I want to be like one with myself. And that's sometimes it's in the gym, because I'm one with myself. And if I'm just listening to music in my own space or looking at art, that's just me. That's a way I can honestly control being one with myself and in the gym, like I said. So I think just over time, learning where my best thoughts came from or most successful ideas, I think it was from those things.
Love it. What's the word wealthy mean to you?
So when I hear it, I think money. When I think of the word rich, wealthy, I think money, but that's what I think.
Yeah.
But I believe,
what's it mean though to you?
If I were to say my definition of wealthy, it's I have the greatest example in the world. God bless my mom, who lives the happiest life in the world. I've said this numerous times. I've tried to get her out of a little apartment, and she pushes back by saying, "No, I get to watch the birds come up and eat out, drink water and look at the trees bloom." And she is happier than me. She is happier than anyone I know. She's got cancer 3 times. She's had both breasts replaced, both hips replaced, both knees replaced.
Unreal.
She's been through hell and back. She's been abused. She's been raped. And she's happy. So I guess that's what wealth is, and maybe it isn't synonymous with money.
So
but I'd rather
that's
be
life
happy.
wealth. So what? Let's go to the business side. What would it mean from a business standpoint? Is it a certain number? Is it a certain ratio? Is it whatever you're searching for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what can somebody like?
I think it's improvement. Because like to me, there's never a certain number. I don't like to count. I just like.
You literally don't, too,
No,
which is what I
man.
love. People don't realize, like, John doesn't log into his bank account. Like, you sent the wire, right, G? Yep. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because it's amazing. It's all just a byproduct of our work. The only
Sure.
number I'll look at is increases year over year, because I believe, they're a true gauge of what the work people are putting in. But yeah, man, like I just really don't care about money. Like, of course, I'm going to put myself in positions where I have equity and I'm set up to be compensated. But people probably don't believe me, but I can't say enough, like how, like, if I'm talking to someone about money or man, that conversation's gonna be like 2-3 minutes max. I'm not
Most people would not
interested in
think that. I don't think.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. But there's no substance there. Money happens when you work hard, you're positive, you help people, you do good things, people work as a team. That's where money comes from. Why are we going to talk about having it and how cool we're going to? No, then we're going to lose track of basically how we get it. And I just think there's a money first mentality, work to get it second, when it needs to be like work to get it first and money comes second.
Yeah. The next one I think that everyone wants to know is the black hat. John,
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, listen, I remember meeting with you at Muscle Farm. I remember, you pitching the deal, getting the business. Scribbling on an entire piece. Like, if you guys have ever seen John's doodling, that's what it is.
That's what I do when I think.
When he thinks, he emptied an entire one of our ink pens on a whole sheet of paper and left it there. I remember looking at it when he left, like, what the fuck is this? Excuse me. And so, but the black hat was ever present then. Yeah, it's ever present now.
Absolutely.
I've only seen you without your hat on twice in my life, maybe 3 times because of security going through the airport. Right. And I was a little shocked for a second because it's so weird. Yeah. Where did it come from? How long have you been wearing it for? It's obviously your style.
Yeah. What's crazy is that's where, here's where I think childhood is very interesting, right? Like, so I remember my dad when my brother turned 20, he gave my brother a suit coat, and my brother was like what? Like, what the fuck I don't want
Thanks, Dad.
suit coat. And my dad's like, you're 20 years old now. This is, you ever want to be something in this world, you wear a suit, you get your shoes signed, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I always, like, I was always doing physical stuff. Like, this literally started when I was playing baseball. And, junior high, high school. And I knew that my dad wanted me to dress more appropriate, get ready for the real world. And part of me.
Is that why you bucket so hard?
I think it is, because I'm like, if at 16 years old I were to say to a motherfucker, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, looking however I want to look, walking into whatever room I want to go into, respectfully, he'd have said, there's no way, you can never be successful that way. And I think it's a huge subconscious thing that's like, anybody can do anything if they lead with skill or value. And I'm not going to compromise what I feel like looking like, wearing for anybody. Why should people? Because eventually we got to get to the real me. And if I'm not dressed like myself, I don't feel like myself. I feel like I'm putting on some form of an act. Now, listen, you go to weddings, of course. But when I don't have to, I don't feel like myself.
Dion says dress good, look good, feel good, John.
Well, for me, this is good.
Play good. Exactly. This is your good.
It's subjective.
You mentioned respect. That's one thing I noticed very early working with you, especially with working with some of these young guys we have in the office, is that there's a level of respect that you command, not in a way where it's negative, but that you expect because of X. And when it is disrespected, you're fast to fucking let motherfuckers know, which I respect. So where's that whole thing come from? Is it the 20 years in the game? Is it part of the Italian American upbringing? Because I think I had some of that in my family too. Where's that come from, Johnny?
I think the first thing is knowing that, or at least believing that I'm giving that person, if I am hard on a person, I have given that person respect. And if they are not reciprocating and I am in a position that either supports them or their family, it's just unacceptable. And in business, you give someone an inch, they'll take a mile. And there's a lot of people out there that manage people and that are owners that get ran over by their employees.
For sure.
And the reason I try to nip it in the bud so fast is because, and so hard, is because it's like they need to know that is so unacceptable. Like, unless you're writing me a check, don't you ever speak to me like that again. Like if you're writing me a check,
it's a lost thing going on.
You
out
make
here.
the rules.
Yeah.
If I'm writing you a check, I make the rules. But here's the thing.
Guy with the gold makes all the rules. My grandpa told me that shit when I was 12.
It's a fact, but I try as hard as I humanly can to be nice, to be friendly, to be respectful. So if someone has a little attitude with me, man, they're going to know it real quick, and they're going to clean it up real quick, or they're going to be replaced.
Yeah. Well, many things, but this is one of the great things, is that you know where you stand with John Fosco.
Oh, 100%.
So he doesn't hide it. So if shit's going down, he's going to let you know. And when things are going right, you're going to let it. I mean, maybe some people think you're a super hardcore business dude, which you are, but you're also the first guy to give out a compliment when some dude like kills it in your way.
Yeah, I think people get things mixed up because like any coach, I think, or anybody, if you are in a position above somebody and people are below you, and you give people attention, whether it's you're hard on them or your support, them getting your attention means that you believe in them. There is a serious problem when you're an employee or working for someone when you don't get any attention. That means you're just irrelevant in the scheme of the business. I'm not saying you're an irrelevant human being, but in the scheme of the business, your future isn't looking bright. So I think a lot of young guys, they say, man, why is he so hard on me? The reason, at least speaking from my perspective, I'd be hard on someone is because I see something in you. I think you have something. And I know if I fucking push you and push you and push you and push you, you know, fucking, you could become something good. And I'd be very proud of that. You know what I'm saying? But if you ain't got shit, why would I spend my time pushing?
It's like the coach that yells at the kid that he knows got the pop.
Yeah.
He's not yelling at the kid that's slacking on the fucking sideline. So
Exactly.
it's a good way to look at it. So a lot of people will have a hard time understanding that break with John Fosco's personality from business to personal. First of all, not a lot of people get to spend very much personal time with you. That's a fact. But when they do, there is a different John that they get in a way, way more calm, into whatever we're going to consume, art, music. When you came to my house multiple times, but they listen to the podcast or they deal with you at work. How can somebody deal with a personality like yours that is listening? Because they're going to run into people like us, Johnny. Well, definitely like you. How you're personally able to switch it off better than anyone I know. And then how does somebody deal with a guy like you if they're trying to dance around it and create a relationship with somebody like you?
You know, that's probably the biggest challenge I have in my life, is because people don't understand that, at least I believe, and I believe this is the way it should be or the way it is that when you're working, you are in a different world than when you're personal. And I could be so fucking pissed off at you in here about something we didn't do right or whatever. And then it's like, if we're going to have dinner on a personal level, my brain literally cuts off and it's just like, what's going on, man? Like, you've been collecting cars? Like, that is for work. The other is for personal. I think because the work persona or tone could be overwhelming.
Yeah, and it dominates your personal. I mean, there's no doubt.
100%. But like, I think people, I think they psych themselves out. And this is just speaking from experience when it comes to me. I think they psych themselves out.
I could see that.
I think they think they're going to get what they see when I work. And it's anyone who knows me or has spent any time with me outside the office, I'm probably the quietest person in the room.
You are. People are wondering if you're like sizing them up though.
Not.
Which I know you're not,
Yeah.
but that's probably the perception.
I
because
size people up all day long, all the time for business reasons. When I'm not doing that, I just want to relax.
Yeah. It's wild. That's why I think you're a very interesting person, John. That's why I make jokes about being friends with you and Mo, because neither of you guys have a lot of friends that you trust to talk to like you do to me, right? So that's why I thought when we were talking about doing this podcast and Mo was out of town, I was like, it would be cool to ask John some things that I've probably wanted to ask you, but to think about that, how the listener could better get to know you. Yeah. So that was my best shot at it. Last question.
Sure.
Is
I'm gonna reverse this on you. Don't
I know.
worry.
I know you are. What's the ride into the sunset John Fosco look like? Is it bareback? It is. What is
Great question.
I've heard you talk about it a couple times. Like, at this rough age, I'd like to let my assets, work for me and these type of things, and travel more and do these things that you want to enjoy in life. But, is there the vision or picture that you've seen often?
I think that's a fairy tale I tell myself. Not that let's
we
say,
all tell ourselves.
Yeah, not to say that, I won't be able to do that, but like, I've been coming to terms lately a lot with like, hey, this is who I am. So when I think about spending time with, I think it's very human to want to have companionship. I think it's a human trait. I don't have that trait. And it's not to say that I'll never have like a partner or anything like that, or a wife. It's just I don't feel the need for it, and it's probably
You're not looking for it. If it happens,
here, put it this way: like on like a Sunday, if I'm chilling, or a Saturday, like I got things I want to go do. Like I'm not thinking like, oh, I need a woman by my side. Like, of course, I'm a human being and I like to have sex, but like outside of that, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think most guys, most people, they want companionship,
Sure.
and I think that's normal. But for me, trying to understand myself, which I don't fully yet, I don't feel the need for it, but I am open to it. So when you talk about riding it out into the sunset, it's like, yeah, I think I just love the feeling of accomplishing things so much that's so much more fulfilling than like, sitting on a couch on a Sunday, ordering in, hugging somebody. Like to me, that's like that's very human, but that's like not getting the most out of myself. And I'm not saying anyone else is wrong for doing it the other way.
You're just saying this is what it is for you.
I'm just saying, so I don't know what my ride into the sunset is. I'm not stressed about money. I don't think I will be, although I could be, but I don't think I will be. I just think it's something's going to change in my life to give me that answer.
Yeah.
And it hasn't yet.
Yeah, that's a really good answer, John.
I mean,
But Life, put the headphones on for a second. We're ad-libbing here. What was our time on this interview? Was it like 40, 30? 28:30. Here's what I think. I think this was really good, John. And I tried to really be thoughtful about the questions to be different for the audience. I personally would like to cut it and just let this be by itself, and so everyone can consume it. I think we should do another one where you interview me.
Okay.
So we have two different, but that's just my point. I just think that this would be really good to be consumed all by itself. As an artist, John, on the mic. Hey, you did good though. That was awesome. It's brought to you by Robinhood. Of course, Robinhood has no trading fees, John.
Listen. If you haven't gone to the App Store and downloaded Robinhood, I'm mad at you, but I will rescind my madness once you go and do it, because when you trade stock, buying or selling, you pay fees everywhere. You don't
everywhere.
You don't literally every other platform. You don't pay fees at Robinhood, and everyone here is trying to get ahead. You want to get ahead, you got to put some of that money in the market, and the only way to do it is through Robinhood.
Go to biceps.robinhood.com and get a free stock such as Apple, Ford, or Sprint. Ghost Maurice Claret, Johnny Fosco, can the podcast be stopped?
The podcast can't be stopped!